Welcome to the Millennial Diner podcast. It's Jeff. I'm here at the diner with Phil, and today we have Brian Norrby, who we always know as Norrby, so that's who we're going to be saying hello to. Hello, Norrby.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. East Coast, West Coast here taking place, so appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a magical diner where it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You from Queens, Phil from New Hampshire, I think, from what I heard, and me in LA. But we're here at the diner, which is great because I'm starving. I'm going to talk to Flo. Flo, tofu scramble today.
Ooh.
Extra jalapenos, feeling spicy. And an English muffin on the side with some vegan butter. And a cup of coffee with some oat milk. Pretty good.
Again with the oat milk. All
Yeah.
right, here we go. All right.
Norby, what are you going to order today?
So I'm gonna go a little far-fetched because I kind of like a sweet with the breakfast. So I'm gonna go with actually bread pudding,
Ooh.
which is sort of, one of those rare items that I feel nobody would really ever order at the diner. A friend of mine turned me on to that many years ago as a late night snack. So the bread pudding with a nice, cup of black coffee.
Now the bread pudding is usually in a big container with like a clear saran wrap on top of it, right? Like that's how they keep it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just basically baked, and it's like kind of like a soggy French toast that's kind of like baked like an apple pie. So it's actually pretty good. So a little cinnamon.
A lot of flavors, a lot of texture. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Phil, are you inspired? Or you think you're going to do that this time?
Yeah, I think I'm feeling very much like a piece of toast, maybe rye toast, maybe wheat toast. Maybe wheat toast. Nah, rye toast. I'm gonna do rye toast, a little bit of butter, and a black coffee. That sounds good.
All right. So no inspiration this time. That's okay. That's fine, Phil.
No.
Steady as she goes. That's what we say.
Steady as she goes. I mean, if it's not broken, why fix it?
That's true. Well, we all at one point were on Long Island, same time, growing up in the Smithtown area. So for many of us, we spent many hours of our youth at the Smith Haven Mall in Lake Grove, New York.
I worked there.
You did.
So did I, Phil. So did
That's
I.
right. That's right. Did we work there at the same time?
I worked in the food court, and I think I remember sometimes seeing you working at the comic book store.
I did. I worked at the comic book store. I did.
Yeah.
I worked at the famously but now forgotten Planet Comics in the Smith Haven Mall, right in the food court, right there.
Yeah. So I think I would look over at you time to time and wave, but you wouldn't see me. So.
Well, that was the best part of the mall, the food court area. because
Absolutely was.
You had the food court first of all, which was huge.
Named after an artist, by the way, Calder Court. Like, I don't think anybody ever really realized that the art, all that art, the art above the scene. I'm gonna tell everybody now. The art that was up above, and those like floaty things, that was done by the artist. His name was Calder. That was the whole point of it. It was Calder Court.
Calder Court. They were all like
amorphous blob-looking things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty. I remember those. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, you had that. You had Planet Comics.
We did.
Which also sold video games, which was the perfect store really in a lot of ways. Maybe not for the people who work there, but for the shoppers, we like that.
It was a great. I'll be honest with you. I've worked a very long time. That's my favorite job I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Didn't you quit it before going to a show? You said.
I quit many times actually at that place. Anytime I couldn't get the time off to go see a show, I was like, I quit. I'm out. And yet they always let me back in. It's very, I knew the store. I knew the cash register system. Why not?
Well, you had that store. You had lids for all our hats. Very important.
That's right.
You had Hot Topic was over there.
That was right
for
next
a while, and then it moved across the way.
Across the way, yeah.
Yeah, but Hot Topic always a very important spot for all your band tees needs. And PacSun was down another wing.
Correct.
So sometimes you have to journey over that way, but for the most part, we were in that section.
You said Journey. Let's not forget about Journeys.
Journeys is there too. Yeah.
Journeys, right? Yeah. Journeys was in that mall.
Your bands.
What was the video store that was right there?
I was trying to remember that.
Nope.
Oh wow.
We had our that guy Will Link worked there.
Will Link was in there. Yeah, he was. Man, what was the name of that movie store?
They had every DVD you can imagine. That was like their thing, but they were always like really overpriced.
Yeah, they were really overpriced. And the next store down, I think was Electronics Boutique. I think it was the one after
Oh,
that.
Wow.
Yeah, real throwback right there.
Wow.
Uh, I remember doing the trash some nights. You could even go in the back, like the bowels of the mall, to go to the trash compactor thing. And we'd all meet at the same, like the guys from EB, that's Electronics Boutique if you weren't into the mall speak. The guys from EB and me and the people from Hot Topic would always meet at the same time. And, everybody's in the back, they're like ripping butts and throwing their trash into the thing. And of course, who would show up and just dump their trash and leave? But it was the girls of Contempo.
Oh yeah.
They would just roll in, like just drop their stuff and then giggle and walk away. And us being idiots would end up doing it because we thought maybe they'd like us or something. I don't know.
Didn't work out that way though, did it?
No, it did not. It did not. Never did. Never did.
In the food court, Norby, where in the food court did you work?
there was like a Asian Cajun stir fry place that was like right next to the pretzel boutique. That blue pretzel logo. I can't remember the name of
Oh,
it.
it's Annie Ann's. I'm glad you brought
Annie
that up.
Ann's. Yeah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah.
that was before they had a cart. It was like I worked there and I would like just serve food to people, work to register, and look at Phil.
Yeah.
My shifts.
Staring at Phil across the way.
I mean,
As we all did. I'm glad you brought up Annie Ann's because I think my favorite memory of that mall is there was a girl named Julie who worked at Annie Ann's, and she always gave me and my friends free pretzels every time we went to the mall. So
What?
It became
how did you get that?
I don't know. We just went over there and she said, "Hey, nice to see you. Here's a free pretzel." And then I think it was a one-time thing at first. And then every time we went to the mall, we'd go see, because there was the Annie Ann's in the food court, but then there was like a separate like mini one that was like in the middle of like one of the different lanes of the mall. Sometimes she worked that one. And then that was easier for her to give us free pretzels because there was no bosses around to stop her. But like, yeah, free pretzels. So I'd actually like to, for the first time ever, give a Millennial Diner podcast Lifetime Achievement Award to Julie for all the free pretzels she gave me at the Smith Haven Mall. Can we have a round of applause, please?
Thank you, Julie, for giving Jeff all these pretzels. I think I figured out what the name of that video store was. It was West Coast Video.
West Coast Video, huh?
Ah.
I think that's what it was.
That doesn't sound familiar at all.
Well, they're not around anymore either. Now, because it wasn't Suncoast. Anyhow. Nah, they all got converted into FYE apparently. No, that's what it was. Saturday Matinee.
There it is. That's it.
That's it. I'm looking at defunct retailers from the United States, and I just happened to see Saturday Matinee. It got converted into FYE, which stands for your entertainment, if I'm correct.
I thought it was for your entertainment, for your ears. That's what I'd say.
Oh, for your ears.
Oh,
but it is for your entertainment. So
I like for your ears way better than that. It sounds much more auditory. But anyway.
Well, these stores sold DVDs and CDs, so I imagine they don't really exist anymore. And it's been probably 20 years since they were relevant.
Like Sam Goody.
Sam Goody, yeah.
Goody got it. Yeah.
I bought some Green Day and Pennywise CDs from that store. I remember that very well.
I remember one time I was there and I was looking at, I was just walking around and some dude comes in with like a bag, like one of those big paper bags, like you get like wherever you get big paper bags. I don't know where you get big paper bags anymore, but a gigantic paper bag with a really kind of flimsy handle. The dude walked over and like put his arms out and grabbed, not kidding, like 2 feet worth of Whitney Houston CDs, picked them up, like squished them together, picked them up, put them in the bag, and then walked straight out of the store.
So this was total
shoplifting. Okay. Total shoplifting situation, and like the alarm's going off and everything. And I was like looking around at anybody who works there, and nobody cared.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why they went under. Sounds like
probably why they went under.
The employee shrink
right. Oh my goodness gracious, yes sir. I just was so amazed at how I'm like that dude just still like it. I was more impressed at the sheer weight of what the dude had to squish together in 2 hands to get it to fit into the bag. It was pretty impressive.
And they were all Whitney Houston CDs.
It was just Whitney Houston.
Oh, man, I hope that guy still has all those CDs and he listens to them every night.
I think he should. Hopefully, he kept at least one, just so he can have the memory of shoplifting. I'm trying to think how many CDs that would have been if it's like that, and they're not that big. Probably like 40, maybe 50 CDs at 10 a piece. So that's not that bad.
Well, it's interesting talking about our thief, our Whitney Houston thief, stealing all those CDs. You have to imagine this era is probably around the early 2000s, which is good for today because there's a reason why we talked about the Smith Haven Mall, because the Smith Haven Mall, while we grew up with it as our mall, one day we came across a punk hardcore CD of a local band from Long Island who names drops, well, not completely name drops, but closely name drops the Smith Haven Mall.
Very close.
Yeah.
Very
The
close.
Smithtown Mall, I believe it's called in the song. But anyway, we're talking about the Movielife is the band in question. The album this time next year, which came out in 2000, which is really kind of like the tipping point almost of when things started changing digitally, right? Like this is probably the last era where like CDs were still number one, right? Because within the next year or two, I think is when everybody kind of started switching to MP3s, and then we were off and running.
Right.
Jeff, I think that we were on LimeWire a lot in college.
Yeah, LimeWire is
LimeWire. If we can mention LimeWire here, not sure.
Oh, you can.
Why not?
I remember the LimeWire, and there was some, whether it was like a Saves the Day album that came out soon or other bands, we were like, I'm like, it's out, I got it, and like we would share back and forth. And I think I remember some albums that we got to listen to before the public, which was pretty fun back in the day.
I feel like that was your superpower at the time. I feel like you found the album before anybody. Like you were always like, oh yeah, we got that album. I got that album last week, and you're like, here it is. And you just were connected to the right listservs or something, and you had the access.
Mm-hmm.
Or you knew of the band before anyone else did. Because I remember you telling me about Appleseed Cast, and you were like, well, no, go check out this band Apple. I was like, what the fuck name is Appleseed Cast? But I was like, all right, okay, I'll go check it out. And I did. And it was amazing. And if I remember, I think you're the one who even was like, check out Thursday. And I was like, who? What day of the week is it? And it's just, you always seem to know the band before it got big. It's like this weird talent you had.
I still hold true to that talent. With a lot of bands that have been up and coming and gotten big, and whether or not it's been a band that's played a small show here at like Mercury Lounge, and then like 2 years later they're back and headlining the Garden. I've been there for that. Or even if they were in California playing and they weren't playing here, I would go see them. I would fly out to Jeff, and I'm like, hey, this band I really like, flying out to see them, crashing on your couch. Hope you don't mind. So I even went to that extreme for seeing bands.
Yeah. And I never did mind, because I was always meant I was going to see an up and coming band. But like even to this day, like I feel like you recently you're like, go see Gel, go see Military Gun. You're like always on the top of, like, you have your finger on the pulse of, like, especially like the hardcore world. You're just like, who the band is, and which ones are going to break and which ones are going to get huge.
My actually, we might be talking about it a bit later. What we're listening to now, so I can hold off until that point. But speaking of up and coming hardcore sounds to check out, I have a few of those for conversation.
Oh, excellent! We'll definitely note that to get Norby's picks. It's a new segment here in the
segment on the show. We're gonna reserve the last 15 minutes for Norby's picks.
Before we go ahead really quick, it's a question for Phil. Yeah. I remember I interned in Westbury, I think, or some, at the MTA Long Island bus when I was in college. And I remember you worked at like a CD store on like Hempstead Turnpike.
For like a day. Yeah, I did. I worked at it. So I
That's right. I think I remember. And I went to see you there one day. And then like a few days later, I had a lunch break and you weren't there. And you're like, yeah, I'm not, like, you left already. So.
I did. Yeah, no, so I actually remember that. I forget the name of that story, but we were at college. We were at Hofstra University, and I went to.
Was it like, Empire Discs?
Maybe that sounds about right. I remember I thought it'd be cool to work in a record store, and then I did the job interview. I went to it. I started. They're like, "Sure, you're hired." Because I remember I got into a conversation. I actually remember the conversation more than the guy. I had a conversation with the guy. he asked me like, where do you think music of today comes from? Which I thought was actually an interesting question for an interview to a record store. And I'm like, this sounds promising. I like this. So I answered the question. I said, well, it comes from jazz. Jazz is the starting point of all the major alternative music. It's the first one. It's the first alternative music, right? It was jazz. And he was like, that's a really great answer. I was like, thanks. I've been working on it. And he ended up giving me the job. And I show up for the first day. And I was like, cool. All right. So what do I got? Like, what do we do here in this environment? And he's like, well, your job is just make sure everything's alphabetical order. I was like, wait, you want me to just make sure things are alphabetical order for like 6 hours? He's like, yeah, that's all you want me to do. He's like, absolutely. Okay. So I started doing it. I got to hour 2 and I started talking to other people who work there, and I wasn't really fans of anybody else. And I was like, all right, well, maybe it'll be fine, whatever. And then I got to the point where I got tired of like sorting M for the 4th hour. And they were like, all right, so we'll see you tomorrow. I said, nope, thanks so much. And I walked out. So I worked at the record store for 1 day. I just did not want to.
You hate the alphabet that much?
I hate the alphabet that much. I just didn't want to sort anything. And I felt like, in retrospect, it's pretty rude of me to quit after 1 day. I'll be honest. Because I could have been like, well, maybe it'll be better tomorrow. But maybe I'm just ahead of the curve. And I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time in the record store. I don't know. I just had a bad vibe. I didn't like the people. I liked the manager was just fine, but it's just the vibe I think was just not for me.
I feel like it's a missed opportunity because I feel like you were born to be one of the guys from High Fidelity.
I have no enemy. I often wonder I played that game, like which one of the 3 I would be. And I know I ended up being fucking Blackjack, walking in and playing what song is it he comes in and starts playing? Walking on Sunshine. Like that'd be me. I'd roll in and playing Walking on Sunshine.
You're the Jack Black. Because I said, what if I said they haven't seen Evil Dead 2 yet?
But the word
yet. That movie is amazing. And also I loved the Hulu version that came out a few years ago. Also great.
I didn't watch that one. Was it good?
With Zoe Kravitz? I really liked it. Yeah. I'm bummed it didn't get the run it deserved.
So yes, Norby, when you came to visit me a few days later, I was no longer employed by said record store. I don't remember which one it is. I don't think it matters. I don't think they remember me anyway. But yes, that's true.
Sorry to bring up old times.
No, I love talking about that stuff. Well, I like reflecting on my arrogant youth where I could work at a record store for a day and thought that was cool.
Well, if you're angered by Phil flexing his privilege of getting a job at a record store and quitting within a day, which is everyone's dream, please send your irate letters to New Hampshire.
Please do so. It is. Sorry, my privilege fell out on that one. It really did. Wow. I'm not going to deny it. I call myself arrogant. I really did.
It's all good. So you did mention you were in the M section. Was the Movielife's 2000 album this time next year in the CDs that you were putting in the alphabet order?
Given the time frame I worked there, more than likely. So I might have had a sort the Movielife a few times.
Movielife is, is there a more Long Island band than Movielife? I feel like they, to me, are such an interesting band because like they kind of were popping off in the early 2000s. They broke up for a while starting 2003 after their Drive-Thru record came out. And they kind of like went their own ways to different bands. Like Vinny went on to do Eye on the Avalanche and had a very successful run with that. Over time, they eventually did come back and have some reunion shows in like 2014. But at this time, they were kind of like, I don't know, to me, they were introduced to me as like a hardcore band. I feel like they are definitely, and they became more of a pop punk band over the years, but how would you describe their sound? Like how do you categorize the Movielife?
Norby, I'm deferring to you for this one.
I'm not really good at explaining it. It just like felt right for the time. Like, the Silent Majority was like that, like melodic hardcore, and then like Movielife kind of was associated with Glassjaw. Because like Vinny and Daryl were like friends. So it was kind of like if Silent Majority and like Glassjaw had like a early pop punk baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with the Movielife too, I don't know if you guys are familiar with their early demos, that like those 2 demo tapes that came out that they never ever play songs from. That was definitely like more hardcore and
Yeah.
loud. But then when It's Go Time came out, it was definitely like more poppy for sure. And then It's Go Time. I'm sorry, It's Go Time when that came out, it was definitely more poppy. So
Every now and again, they play Sailor Tattoos, right? That's the early stuff you're talking about.
oh
Or even
no,
beyond that.
I'm
Even
talking like
beyond that.
there's
Okay.
8 demo songs that there's a red tape and a white tape. And I had both of them, but I actually traded it to a friend of mine. But he said if I ever want them back, he would gladly rearrange another trade for me. So I might actually have to make a phone call after this and see if he still has them. So
I don't know those songs at all, so that's interesting. Yeah, because I
and
found
you won't find them on Spotify or any other music server. Like if you search Movielife demo tapes, you'll find really bad recordings of them. I have them digitized somewhere, and I was actually listening to them earlier to refresh those lyrics. I still remember to this day. I could like sing along to like all 8 of those demo songs. And
did they
so,
play
but
those songs live back in the day, like when they were starting
well,
out?
when they first came out,
Yeah.
that was like where that was all they had. They were playing some basement shows and early VFW halls opening up, and they were selling them at their merch table, their red demo and the white demo. So
That's cool. I'm glad I'm glad you brought up Silent Majority, because I definitely feel like they are like the next generation after Silent Majority. It definitely, like, I could see that that connection for sure. Like, they definitely went to Silent Majority shows and were like, we can do this. I also didn't realize this. Did you know that Eddie Reyes, who created Taking Back Sunday, also was one of the creators of Movielife back in the day?
Yep.
Was early in the band. Yes, that I didn't know.
I never realized that.
It's just funny how the whole little scene was a mishmash of everybody else. I'm actually checking out Discogs for that. I think it's the white label one,
Yeah.
selling at the cheapest right now for 125.
All right.
So that's
Not too bad.
That's not too bad.
Discogs, I have to say, is like incredible because I have my entire collection on there of like hundreds upon hundreds of records, and they are in storage. But I just kind of like, when I go there, I kind of just like to swing open that like storage door and just like I'll spend like an hour or two not needing to go through my records and rearrange them, but I'm like, nope, I got to put this now by like a record label or like kind of a yearly release. But I also still have my binders in storage, like 5 CDs of those big black binders of and you know, my wife is like, please get rid of them. I'm like, I can't.
No.
I can't. And our car still has a you know, CD player. I have like a 2014 Tiguan. CD players are still in cars 10 years ago, and I have CDs in there. And she's like, why do you have CDs? I'm like, because some of these are not online digital to experience. So and I put it on, and she's just like, nope, turn it off. I can't listen to this. So.
I have to admit, one of the biggest regrets of my life was when Jeff talked about it a little earlier. We all started going digital, and at that point, I kind of started abandoning some CDs. And I'm like, you know, I don't need the tangible item anymore because I have the digital world, which worked against me because now there's like CDs I don't have that I can't even find in the digital world, and I'm like, wow, I lost out on some really great stuff. Like, I'm happy I still have a Most Precious Blood tape, their demo when they abandoned Indecision and when it became Most Precious Blood. I still have a tape of theirs, their demo.
So I
and I'm holding
actually
on to
have
that
that
forever. Do you?
I have that. It's actually on my it's weird because I was looking through my Discogs yesterday as well, and I have like a tape. I have a tape section, and I actually have the Most Precious Blood demo tape, Indecision demo, Motive, a lot of these older Long Island hardcore bands.
It's funny. I just like I got a hold, and now I'm like look at it and like I have it preserved in its little case. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want it to. You lose those things over time, and it's bad. It's stuff that might never you're going to cherish while you have it, and then but it never gets digitized.
Well, yeah,
that's what.
Again.
Go on, Jeff.
Oh no, go. No, what you're saying, Phil.
I was going to say, but you asked me how to define the Movielife. I think
yes.
Norrby summed that up really well. It felt like that's the sound of the time, I think is what he said, or it just felt right. That's what he said. Yeah, the Movielife as a sound. as a vibe, I guess that's not a thing when we were in our early 20s. It's a thing, but as a vibe, it just feels right. Very Long Island-y. Everything about it's great. Like even the fact that they were doing like a hardcore melodic hardcore band, but like Vinny worked at like the Gap. It just kind of fit. I don't know why. When I think of the Movielife, I think in terms of the summertime and always seeing them play in various places on Saturday nights and Sunday afternoons. A lot of times we go to Nassau County and go see them play, or they'd come out in Suffolk County, we'd see them play. It just always felt like if I put my ear out, I can hear the band playing somewhere locally. And I think that's where my deep connection with the band kind of originated. They were close to our age, or they were our age. They were singing about relationships, but like in a different way. It wasn't straight punk. It wasn't straight hardcore. It's like this weird amalgam in the middle where I think melodic hardcore got birthed and like thrice took over and then ran with it for another couple of years. And now you got bands who are still carrying forward that kind of sound. And I think that the Movielife may not get as much credit for kind of helping create that melodic hardcore punk hardcore sound. I don't want to say hardcore punk with them. I don't, because I think hardcore punk, I'm thinking either on one end of the spectrum, Minor Threat, on the other end of the spectrum, Knock Loose. I think like that's the breadth of when you say hardcore punk. So I can't call Movielife that because it's not. I don't think they're straight punk. I think they're kind of the birth of emo punk or emo hardcore. I'll go with that. Emo hardcore, melodic hardcore. I think that is what they are, if you're going to put a label on this band.
Not quite screamo.
Not quite screamo. Yeah. Not
they were yet. That was early. That wasn't born to
right.
Well, their timing too, like I guess they started kind of like breaking out. Especially this record, I feel like really kind of like blew them up a bit more. And they were known all over the country, and I'm imagining in Europe as well. But they are like the precursor to the Long Island explosion of like Brand New and Taking Back Sunday, right? Like those bands would go on to become gigantic, and Movielife just kind of didn't quite reach that level.
And I often wonder why, because I always feel like of all the bands that I have followed over the very long time I've been following bands, I always felt Movielife was the band that should have been bigger than they were.
Agreed.
And I don't know if it's because Drive Thru changing their sound a little bit, becoming more of a there's a difference in being very polished and being kind of sort of changing your songs a little bit to sound more radio friendly. I like 40 Hour. The Gambling Problem is okay. I think that's what it's called, right? Gambling Problem. I think that's okay, but I think that's like they're trying to sound like drive-through record bands, and they're not.
Well,
they're not a drive-through record band. I mean, they're more honestly, they're a Revelation Records band. That's what kind of band they are. And I feel like that worked against them. And then a lot of the infighting and all of that, which is what led to them, breaking up and such.
Well, I also think there's a parallel with them in Midtown, because I feel like Midtown's the same thing. Like I listen to a Midtown album now, and I'm like, why wasn't this the biggest band? Why wasn't this falling?
Right.
Like, it's so catchy and just does all the pop punk so well, but also kind of you could see like the influences where it came from. And like I think it was just this past year, Midtown did the Resurrection tour, where they finally came back thanks to My Chemical Romance kind of helping them get back out there. And they played a show in Long Island, and they had Movielife open. So it was like a show from 20 years ago.
That's a show we saw, dude. We went and saw it. It was Midtown and Movielife, and I remember it was in Nassau, whatever that place was in Nassau County. And I remember Midtown pulling a favor for Movielife and letting Movielife be the headliner, and Midtown opened for them. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I remember it was funny because I remember Vinny making it's funny. I remember these things, but Vinny made a joke about his mom was like, yeah, all my friends made me get these tattoos because apparently his mom had never seen the amount of sleeve work he had done.
I remember that. Yeah.
The Vanderbilt.
That was the Vanderbilt. That's right.
I still have my ticket stub for that show. And then I believe that following weekend or that weekend, they actually played up in Owego, not Oswego, but Owego, New York, like some VFW hall. and it was like Midtown, Movielife, and a few other like local bands from like upstate New York. I drove up there for like the day and drove back. And I actually, if we are sharing links later on, I'm not sure. My YouTube page and downtime during some surgeries has allowed me to digitize basically 80% of my 20-year-old tapes from Long Island. A lot of Movielife, Midtown, Glass Taking Back, like just Dashboard. The list goes on, and a lot of late nights here with my old high school camcorder, my Hi8 Sony, digitizing tapes that have been buried in storage for 20 years.
Hi8 Sony. I haven't heard that phrase in a very long time. Yeah, we will absolutely drop in. So part of the description we'll have there definitely down the bottom. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, it's funny, Norrby, like going back to the legend of Norrby in my mind, who knows everything about every single band. You were also at every show in the back.
Always
recording everything, always recording the shows, and I was like, I wonder when we'll ever see those. So it's funny that now
that's probably why my shoulder hurts so much 20 years later. Yeah, like that was before like I didn't want to have a monopod or a tripod. I just was like, I'm going to do this and stand and get knocked around. And the shows are difficult to watch, some of them, but definitely for some reason that camera had like recorded the best sound standing next to like the monitors on the stage. I don't know how.
Norrby, let me ask you a question. What is it about the scene that you liked, or what got you into the scene? Let's start there.
So like, I just, let me back up here. My relationship kind of goes back to like me branching out into like becoming like one of those like skater baggy jeans. Like I did cross country, I did track, and I was like, I feel on this. I got into hockey, roller hockey, then started skating in front of the middle school there, meeting some friends, some skateboard friends, and over time became friends with them. And then there was this group of kids that like came to the Smithtown Middle School to skate, and they're from Hauppauge. And it was like, ooh, rivalry, Hauppauge kids coming to skate here. We all became like best friends over time, and we'd all skate together. Like we all just spend the weekends at Stony Brook. And then it was like, oh, hey, you want to go to a show? And I started going to like the PWAC to see like Silent Majority and Inside, VFW halls and Center Reach. And it just kind of like felt where I belonged. Like I was bored in school. Obviously going back to early episodes where you guys were talking about Mrs. Smith and like the video courses that she had, like I was like 9 periods a day, and like video was like 6 period. I'm like, I am hanging out there, going in early, hanging out there at my lunchtime, staying late. And that's kind of just where I started doing our skate videos and getting good with that soundtracks, and just like watching older not like footage, but just like VHS tapes that were already out of skate videos and the soundtracks to them, like Descendants, like just that made me feel like, holy, it really got me into a lot more of the punk scene, listening to the soundtracks on those tapes when they came out. And then if those bands came around, I would say, I got to go see them. So we would just go anywhere in the city to check them out, Long Island if they passed through. But it was just like a big part of backtracking really quick was Tower Records. I want to say, I don't know if you guys ever really did like the Huntington, was it the Walt Whitman Mall? Like there was a Tower Records there.
Is it the big kickball thing?
Yes, that's going in. So there was just like Friday night, like 10 p.m. It was just like everybody would go to that parking lot, play kickball, hang out, just like play punk music from your car and just hang out. Then you would go to the diner, or you would go from a show to Tower Records and hang out. And part of like the Hauppauge team of friends that I met were some of the people from Slacker TV, if you guys remember that from back in the day. And actually still I'm good friends with Pete Bune. He's done a lot of projects. Phil, as you know, like with Jacob S. and a few other people. So Pete and 48 in the Basement got me into a lot of the local scene. I remember going to this like house in Huntington. It was just like called like the Punk House, I think, and it was just like exactly what it was. It felt like just this grimy, dirty house, and you would go to shows in the basement and like sweat to death, and the neighbors hated everybody there. Like the cars were lined up and down the block, but they would have like punk shows there like every weekend, and it just felt like this is home. After a while, this is my people.
I love that. I love every second.
Yeah,
that is like the perfect encapsulation of like what that Long Island scene was like, and where how it kind of showed itself in the community like that way.
And it just seemed like everybody was there to have a good time. It wasn't like a lot of or maybe it was just at the time there wasn't a lot of grudges or whatever. But I mean, I remember going back to Northport Pipeline, and I don't know if you guys had ever. I used to go there, like this is like 95, 96. I would go there, and you skate during the day, and then they would have bands play in like the middle of the half pipe, and there would be like shows there at night, and the place would just be insane. And I remember like everybody's here. There's like no, all that high school, like different groups of people and different vibes, and just it was, you just kind of felt like nothing's bad is going to happen to me here. Like everybody's here to listen to music, dance, help each other off the floor, and just rock. It was.
Well, you're bringing up what I've said countless times now on every show, which it's community over competition. That's all it is. I do love the fact that someone else has brought up Miss Smith, and it's just, I don't think I really realized the legacy and the importance that woman has had on my life. I don't think I ever really put that in perspective. So Miss Smith, if you're listening to this, we really appreciate what the environment, and it's the environment you created. The environment you created was really what it comes down to. So thank you for that. Great
No,
detail.
yeah, like just to go on Miss Smith, if for people who don't know, if you went to Smith in high school and you got to take film video classes, or if you just went to hang out in the film video room, Miss Smith created a safe place for everybody. It was a place for, and definitely the punk emo hardcore kids definitely gravitated there because maybe they didn't feel like they fit in other places in the school, but everyone fit in there. Everyone was welcome there. It was a safe space.
We even had the jocks, quote unquote jocks, in there. I remember them making videos for sports they would do, and you know what? That's totally cool, man. You were there, and it did not matter because you were there to work, and that's what mattered.
And it was a blend of that, and Mr. Pastor was the photography teacher. Was that his name?
I think so.
Yes, I think that is right. My goodness. Wow. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's where I got into a lot of silk screening. With he had the silk screening, and that's where we started making like
t-shirts,
band t-shirts, and a lot of the old stuff.
Well, Phil, what do you say? Look, should we do a second ever Millennial Diner Podcast Lifetime Achievement Award to Miss Smith?
Absolutely. It's worthy of it. Let's do this. So Miss Smith, you are now a Lifetime Achievement Award for the Millennial Diner
Podcast. All right, a round of applause for Miss Smith.
Round of applause. I think this should be a thing. We should do this more often. We should do Lifetime Achievement Awards now. Although
we're doing it now, Phil.
No, but you can't give away too many because then it kind of loses its luster.
All right, I won't give you yours then.
No, I don't deserve one.
Yeah. Speaking of what we deserve, sometimes you think someone deserves to die soon, and you yell out, "I hope you die soon."
God knows I felt that way. At least once today.
But wait. Before we sorry, that's the first song on the album. But I'm really eager to get into it because it's an opus of a song, 27 seconds. But before we get into the 27-second song, Norrby, you talked a little about what drew you to the scene. Could you give us your Mount Rushmore about bands of the scene before we dive into this one?
So if I'm talking about like overall where I'm at now in my life, this is where my list is kind of based upon. Okay. So I don't know if I did this right or wrong, but there is no wrong.
There is no right or wrong. It is whatever you want it to be.
So my number one Mount Rushmore would be Texas Is the Reason, and Revelation Records, and that was the first band that I found out about from somebody else. How I would tell you guys, oh, you got to check out this band. And I remember I used to I had some friends in New Jersey that I would go hang out with and skate with. In high school, I would drive from Smithtown to go hang out and skate with friends in like Glen Rock and Upper Saddle River. Take me like 2 hours to get there, hang out all night, go to shows, and remember just hanging out in the back of somebody's car. I was like, "What is this?" And he like just gave me the CD, and he's like, "Check these guys out." That was just like my like first band that I absolutely just could not stop listening to. They are my white whale on Discogs. White whale meaning I have it. That's like my most prized possession, my most padded record that I have that it'll never see the light of day probably, but it's like the rarest, most precious record that I have. But that band, that EP, seeing them, they did reunion shows back in like 2004. They played 2 nights at St. Vitus in like 2016, and I went both nights. One of them actually fell on my birthday. So that
Happy birthday
was,
to you. Yeah.
yeah. So that was, I think that shirt still fits. It's in, let's say, I'll tell myself it still fits. It's shrunk in the laundry, we could say.
That's exactly what's happened to it. It has shrunk in the laundry. We're gonna go with that.
Yep.
You know, Texas the Reason also, I think, paved a way for Movielife band. Like, there's definitely like things about that band that carry over into Movielife as well.
I just like the Misfits reference.
Yep. And it wasn't even like, Phil, I know going back on, for some reason I remember, Jeff, I feel like I know you so well, but like listening to Phil on a lot of the first episode about like, the music and what he kind of like the sound over like the meaning of the lyrics after a while.
Yeah.
And even with that band, it's like both. It's just like, it's like a 50-50 of this sounds incredible and like these lyrics are incredible, and just please like just play the album front to back like 5 times in a row, and I will never know that I've been listening to it for like hours and hours long.
Who else would be on your Mount Rushmore?
So this is a actually a band from Scotland, and there's a history with them, but Jeff is familiar with this band called Biffy Clyro, and I can spell that out for you guys. It's Biffy Clyro. And I got introduced to them after college and graduation. I did a little backpacking, and I was actually in New Zealand. And I remember just kind of like, I was by myself, staying in youth hostels, going around, hanging out, and met some people. And it was on one of those like shuttle buses between like cities, and I saw somebody that had like a no effects button on their backpack. I was like, "Oh, cool, punk!" And we just kind of started talking, and they were from the UK, and then they're like, "You need to check out this band, Biffy Clyro," and I listened to it like as soon as I come home, and it's very hard to find, like, this is like 2003, finding like a place to get like UK music that was accessible at the time. It wasn't as easy as it is now. It wasn't just every album listed from these bands, but it was kind of just like that louder, heavier, grungier, little bit of screamo, a little bit of just indie, and their earlier albums just kind of make me feel and relate back to like, backpacking, traveling, and just relating and going to the UK for music festivals and seeing them play at Reading festivals, seeing them play when I was like backpacking in Italy. So it kind of brings up those feels of, being 22, 23 years old, and just, I can't describe anymore. I don't know what I really feel when I listen to them, but it's just like, I will stop on a dime and just like, I need to listen to this album now on the train going into work, just to feel better or reminisce.
Well, it's funny, you're talking about the time travel power that music has. Like, I feel like music more than any other, I mean, I guess it's true for like movies. You can like remember the first time you saw it, or shows you used to watch for comfort. But something about music, literally you can close your eyes and you can be back in your body when you first heard that, or when that first made an impression on you. So if you ever want to time travel, throw on the right song,
If I want to go into another time travel right now, we can mention Jimmy Eat World, Clarity.
Oh yeah.
That album, and didn't see them the last time they were around here. I don't think I was in town, but I mean, they were my first tattoo. I know we all have band tattoos here, but
It's
Jimmy
true.
Eat World was my first tattoo. So, but that album just like that made me feel like I could be in a band. And I'm like, if I was to write an album or actually play an instrument, that would be probably like my soundtrack because it was like instrumental. It was just like melodic. It kind of like just Appleseed Castle. It was just like, just instrumental. It was
Hmm.
loose. It was just slow. It was catchy. And I was like, if I was to, this is like 22-year-old me or whatever, if I was to, you know, instead of going to shows, actually want to be in a band and like start a show, this would have been like probably the path I would have gone down. That sounds.
Is Jimmy Eat World on your Mount Rushmore?
Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yeah, that's the third on the Mount Rushmore.
This is third. I
Yeah.
got
Okay.
Texas is the Reason. I got Biffy Clyro,
And
Jimmy
Jimmy
Eat
Eat
World.
Okay, I just
Now-
wanted to make I wanted to make sure
Oh,
because
yeah.
like because we were going down Claire. I'm like, Clary's a great fucking album. It really is. But I'm like, just so I know and everybody else know. Okay, all right. As you were, continue on.
Okay. I mean, I have 9 listed here, but I'm only going to go to 4 with the time allowed, and I'm in the tie for 4.
Ooh.
And this is really, really kind of different spectrum.
Do you need 2? Do you need a 5
Well, we
5
could-
Mount
yeah.
Rushmore?
What we could do
squeeze
is
in-
we could do a double header on the fourth one. We could have two
Yeah.
like a two-headed monster on the fourth
We'll
one.
give you a 2-headed monster on the 4th one.
See, like I'm not going down like the punk history as much as you guys did, but that's okay. I know that we're here talking about our own.
Oh yeah.
So, one of my first earlier bands, and whether or not they're mainstream or people just don't like Billy Corgan, but Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Finally got to see them last fall. I had never seen them before. I won tickets to see them in Irving Plaza, and I was
Ooh.
like up front against the stage, and it was just before Volume 1 of their new album just came out. That was like 3 releases back to back to back. They played 2 of like my favorite songs from like Melancholy and an old song from Pisces, and I was just like, I don't know, Jeff, maybe how you feel after Taylor Swift listening, just kind of like
Oh, so a total euphoric feeling that where you lose track of reality and you
yeah.
ascend to the heavens. Yeah, I know that feeling.
They're another one of my most collected for my discogs of albums that they have of theirs. Take pride in that collection, and tied at 4 or 5, and at the drive-in.
Oh,
I'm gonna go down that. Probably one of the most insane bands I'd ever seen live back in the day, and still just that vibe, that energy, that just sort of like, this is some of the best stuff I've ever seen on stage. Still like just makes you feel like I would go. They played like Terminal 5. I've seen Mars Volta when they toured around, just for Cedric. But my experience with At the Drive-In was when you guys were at Hofstra. I crossed the border and I went to college in Canada. I went to school in Toronto.
I remember that. Yeah.
And for the shows up there was this place called like the Cathedral, and I would go there. I'm like, this is when you'd have to like go down to the venue to see flyers and pick them up of what's coming up. This is before like things were really like up to date. And At the Drive-In, we're touring and opening up for the Get Up Kids. And I had heard of At the Drive-In and I knew them, and I was like, and then eventually what ended up being good friends of mine, this local band from Toronto called Monine, they actually opened up that show. And I've become like really good friends with that band over the years. But At the Drive-In, I still have my tickets up for that. That was like, maybe just because I was, in a place at a time where I didn't really know a lot of people, and like that just At the Drive-In and Get Up Kids just makes you feel like everything's all right. And even as bad as the lyrics, not bad as the lyrics, but thinking about the heartbreak in some of those songs now, like Mass Pike. But with At the Drive-In, In Casino Out, I would listen to that over and over and over and over.
two things. One, weekly plug for Dan Ozzy's book of Sellout, so you can read the chapter on Jimmy World and Clarity and the chapter on At the Drive-In. And two, I remember you went to college in Toronto, and I was always so impressed with that. I'm like, wow, he's gonna go to a whole nother fucking country to go to college. I always thought that was the cool, like, I remember going, that's the most punk rock thing I think I've ever heard. I'm gonna leave my country to go to another country to go get education. I always thought that was really cool. So
I did that, but then like for a while I was just going down to the record store down on can't remember like just the name of the street at the moment. I just remember almost always getting hit by the streetcar every time I crossed it. Bloor or whatever. There was a record store there, and I would go in there all the time. And I'm like, "Do you guys have the Movielife yet?" I'm like, "Do you have Glassjaw? Do you have?" And the guy's like, "What? Huh? Like, what do you like?" I'm like, "These are all Long Island bands." So I was like trying to get like these New York bands. So like, and then he's like, "No," he's like, "What are they?" And then like he wasn't a distributor of them. So every other week I just go there and actually found out eventually this guy was in this band called Zeke, and I don't know, they're an old Toronto band, but hung out with him for a bit and like eventually played it for him, and he's like, "Yeah, we should carry this," but they never did. So I was upset about that.
I would see they should have listened to you, because that's why Jeff and I knew so many bands. Literally because
they would have they would have known.
They would have been ahead of the curve.
Well, I will say I am jealous of your At the Drive-In experience. That's a band I never saw. Miss them. I still haven't seen Smashing Pumpkins, even though we've already done a full 20-hour episode on Melancholy and Infinite Sadness.
That's true. That's true.
But I'm happy to say I got to see Biffy Clyro when Norrby came to visit me in LA, when they did a showcase show at a very tiny venue called the Satellite in Silver Lake. So I got to see this band who in the United Kingdom is leading festivals, and then they were playing like this small bar in LA.
Yeah. And that actually was when I had just first started dating now my wife, Monica, and we went to see Biffy Clyro here in New York, and they played the Bowery Underground, which is like this small little I think it's the Bowery Underground is what it's called. But saw them like literally on like a Tuesday night. Wednesday we flew out to LA, and like they played LA on Thursday, and then I think we hung out for the weekend, and we had like this Airbnb that we had rented in like Venice Beach or something. And I just remember the last day being like, "Jeff, the traffic no, we're not leaving because it was going to take us like an hour and a half to go see you." So we just bailed on you our last day.
That's fine. I didn't need friendship that day anyway.
I'm sure Jeff was just sitting there going, "You know what, Norrby? I hope you die soon." I think that's what Jeff.
There it is. well, yeah. So I think that brings in. Now we're finally ready to talk about "I Hope You Die Soon."
Yeah.
27 seconds.
You know what's really funny though, Jeff?
What?
We spent more time talking to each other than the length of that album.
Oh, definitely. It is a fast album. It's like 26 minutes long.
27-minute spectacular piece of work that came out. I actually didn't know this came out on Halloween on 2000.
Wow. Halloween album. Nothing Halloween about it. But I will say there is the "I Hope You Die Soon" is the opening track. But to me, it's also kind of, again, like the thesis of the album. This is an album about having grudges and being disrespected and standing up for yourself in many very different ways. And I feel like that,
100%. This I think that's probably why I identified with it so much. Because this was an album. I had the same kind of vibe going back and listening to it when we were younger. I was like, "Oh, there's like some anger in here." And I'm like, "Yeah, like fuck this guy and fuck that guy too." But then it took a while to listening to it again, and I was like, "Oh, that's what all these songs are about." Like, yeah, I'm disrespecting them. Fuck that, and fuck. I had enjoyed every second getting to listen to it again. But we should get right into the opening track. "I Hope You Die Soon."
Here you go. Get ready. 27 seconds of fury. And here is "I Hope You Die Soon" off the Movielife's 2000 album, This Time Next Year. All right. So as you can see, that song is a mood. I mean, it just comes out ferociously. I actually feel like a little bad that we just played the first song and didn't go right into 10 Seconds Too Late, because to me, those songs, they fit together. So I can't
The last time, no, I mean, it's funny. The last time I saw them in Cambridge, they were like, only just play the first 3 songs. They went bam, bam, bam. So they went, Hope You Die Soon, 10 seconds this time next year, straight run. And I was like, that's what I'm here for. I appreciate that. But let's, I don't know if there's really much to say about Hope You Die Soon. It's pretty on the nose.
Yes.
That would get the crowd going. Like if you were just walking into the show or you were online for merch or just hanging out, talking to people, and they just came on stage and that just was like fuel that would just get everybody, that 30 seconds, everybody was like, this is the last song, it's time to go all out. But they do it on the very first song.
Because you know what, right out of the gate, it's the call and answer. Right out of the gate. And that's the answer part always gets the crowd going. I mean, look, Movielife is a killer live show. I think it's another band. I was thinking about this earlier today. I feel like they're like a band, like at the drive-in, like Bad Brains, that just the live show never translated to the album. Like the intensity that they played with, it's there, but it's not there. And Norrby at the drive-in is a great example of it because from what I did not get to see them, but from what I understand, it was one of those bands where you just could not capture the live, what they could do live on a recording. And same Movielife. I just feel like to understand this band and why it was so important, you had to see them because Vinny is outstanding as a frontman. And then Brandon's really great in the guitar work. You just don't even realize how actually complicated some of these songs are. They're very fast, but there's actually some complexity to it too.
Not so much very serious on stage playing, like everybody, and he's just like face down playing, like, in the moment. Like he was over time, I think he got a bit more, crowd facing, but he was always just down.
Deep into it, right? I mean,
well,
how go ahead.
Well, sorry, no, I was gonna say like on this one and their seriousness about it, but like they're treating it like they are a hardcore band. I feel like they are so serious on stage about it. And what you said, Phil, is true. The live version of them is just it grabs you by the throat basically, and like you are like locked in. Because I remember them playing a show in Babylon at a VFW where like American Nightmare and Grade played, and these are like hardcore bands. But like they fit with the Movielife, even though Movielife had a little bit more of the melodic sing along aspect of it.
Grade, by the way, is on the bottom of my Rushmore. If there was 3 Mount Rushmores, this was like number 10 or 11 on there because they're from Toronto or Oakville or Burlington, and I remember when I lived up there seeing them all the time when they played. So
it's funny. I remembered that show, but I couldn't remember the third act, and it was great. So I couldn't remember. I remember American Nightmare because I remember going like, "Wow, that dude's fucking angry," and that was basically I walked away from American Nightmare having that feeling. Jeff, just St. Jimmy, American Nightmare is like one of his favorite bands.
Well, yeah, St. Jimmy rules.
St. Jimmy does rule. Let's talk about 10 seconds too late here.
To me, this is like a personal song. It comes in with this drive in the beginning. It's like, to me, it's like someone told you some hard truths, and now you have to kind of like deal with it. And the 10 seconds too late is maybe they didn't deal with it in time. Like they missed their opportunity to deal with it. I don't know how you feel.
It's like almost like if they won the argument, but I don't know if they necessarily won the war that comes with it, because I don't. It just kind of the vibe with it, because I almost feel like it's also a song about either one of us, although the narrator says you, but either one of us walked away a hair earlier. This might have gone a little better. I don't know. That's the kind of vibe I get. It's actually a complex song. You think it's not that complex, but it really is. What do you think, Norby?
Yes.
I love it. Let's go with that.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like just catching up. I no lyrics. I'm just kind of reading through, and I'm just kind of like we're both talking. All 3 of us. I'm like reading through this here, and I'm just like, oh, like this is a bit more intense than I remember. Like singing along with.
Very intense.
Very intense. My favorite lyric: "The smile just melted off your face and stained your shirt. It burned a hole into your chest. Looks like it hurt." Like that imagery is like.
It just you do that's something like Jeff, like you just said, like I just said something to you, either very honest, very candid, or extremely rude. I don't know. It could be all three. I mean, it could be all three.
It could be all three.
It could be everything. But it just the narrator said something of some merit, maybe of some strength to the other person. And I've seen that where I'm like, I remember times where like you're very honest with somebody and you watch their face crumble as for the first time the facade is over and like this is I am seeing you for what you are.
Well, that's why like I just hard truths. Like this is a song about someone saying a hard truth, and like sometimes when you're faced with that and someone points it out to you, doesn't go well, right? Your ego is rough, destroyed, and like
particularly if it comes from somebody that you love or have high respect for, to actually have something either very negative or very honest. I mean, but on the flip side, I kind of appreciate straightforward honesty. No mask, no facade. Just be honest with me. What do you think? I don't know.
Well, on top of that, this song is amazing live, as we kind of touched on.
Amazing live. Just the first. I mean, I'm going to look at my notes really quick. Yeah, it doesn't stop because even once in a row, it still goes. I just keep going this whole album.
The drive. This reminds me. I have to tell the story because this is 2014. Movielife triumphantly returns. Big reunion. And they played Pomona, which is about 45 minutes outside LA. That's the first show they did, so I got tickets to that. And then they announced, if that sold out, they announced a show at the Roxy in West Hollywood. So I went to that, and they're playing these songs, coming out hard and fast. The crowd is into it. This really big dude, I can't remember exactly. I think he tried to crowd surf. Anyway, he slammed, fell on the ground, knocked out. And Vinny had to stop the show and be like, and thankfully, like it looked bad. It looked like I was like out cold. Vinny stopped the show. They got someone else. The guy turned out to be okay. But it was like Vinny being like, "Hey, everybody, we're all 10 years older than that now, so let's keep that in mind."
When I saw them play in Boston, Cambridge, Boston. 5 years ago, so maybe 2018-ish, 2019-ish. And I remember Vinny talking about having to like work out a little bit more, like having to make sure he was eating right so he could play a good show for us. It was really I think he talked about kale for a little bit, he was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this kale I bought." And I was like, "Why did you buy kale?" It was really, again, being a guy who's seen them for 20 years at that point, there were so many younger people there. I was so impressed with that and they knew the songs. Everybody knew the songs, which made me really happy because I was wondering if this was a band that kind of fell off, but I was happy to be proven wrong.
Well, they were defunct for like 11 years, right? So I find with this scene, what happens is in those 11 years, the same way I found Texas Is a Reason after they were defunct. Like, you find these bands and you're like, oh, they're never going to get back together again. But as we've learned over time now in our wise ages that we are now at, we've seen that given enough time, bands do come back, right?
They do come back. They come back.
And when they come back, there's a generation of fans who never got to see them. And that brings an amazing new energy to see them, to be with these younger people who always wanted to see this band, now get to see it the first time. And to share that is incredible.
Well, you talked about that with Mike M. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids these days don't have Warped Tour or Bamboozle like it used to be.
Right.
Skate and Surf Fest. Hello, still have posters for all those. But yeah, that's like, I mean, those would tour the country, and
right.
That's how a lot of bands got big, just touring, and like bands didn't get paid very well on the Warped Tour. They would just go in city to city, trailer life, and sweaty, hot parking lots. Like, you guys remember standing in like Nassau Coliseum parking lot, or
absolutely.
Actually, I live across from it now. Randall's Island. I remember going to Randall's Island, and my parents being like, "There's a prison on Randall's Island. You're not going to a concert there." And I'm like, "What?" Like,
it's good.
And I would go.
But I am.
It's not like they're going to escape. I mean, the prisoners. I mean, oh goodness. Different
Well,
times back then. Different
yeah.
times back then. No,
Yeah.
the festivals we know, but they have their own festivals now. So let them
Well,
have
yeah. I mean, look,
Yeah.
Movielife is playing the Vegas one. When we were Young Fest, they are one of the 3,000 bands.
One of
on
the
there.
yeah, because who's not playing that show? I mean, I just oh my goodness gracious.
But onwards and upwards. The next song
Yep.
is This Time Next Year, the titular song.
This is, and I think the first time we've had, I think, a positive song. This is a song about positivity, about
I think
staying positive.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I love this song, and to me, I don't know. This song really speaks to me. To anybody who's an artist, to anybody who's trying to like either be a writer, an actor, a director, or a musician. It's a song about like the hard work, like complaining about sometimes hard work gets me nowhere, but like my ear is to the wall and I'm listening for a shred of hope. Like I'm not going to give up. Like I'm going to keep fighting for this thing that I believe I need to do. And I think this is, as you said, Phil, this is the positive song. And I think it's an awesome song to have in your head, in your headphones while you're trying yourself to kind of like do something with your life.
Right. It's because he even says nothing better than making it on your own. Like to be a self-made person and have been the one who fought the entire time and have the faith. I love that's my favorite part is at the end where you have the faith. You gotta have faith when no one else will. You need to have the faith in yourself that you can do this. That's such an amazing thought. And coming after the argument of or whatever was hard truth at 10 seconds too late, and then I hope you die soon in front of that. You go 3 songs in, you go, there's a switch now. You get to the positive side of things, and having the faith in honestly gumption and the balls to believe in yourself, and believe that you can make it. That's positivity, man, and not fake positivity, real positivity.
Well, the title too, like This Time Next Year. Wait till you see where I am this time next year.
Next year, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a declaration.
And I mean, I feel like I'm good at analyzing lyrics, but I think Jeff, you just kind of talking about arts and being creative and like not giving. I kind of look at it as more of like I'm trying, to get back, get be with somebody, and he's giving up, and like everything I'm doing is just not working out, and so that's kind of a bit more of I was looking at it more as like a personal like relationship, but not as much as like I'm an artist and I'm gonna give up because nothing's going my way.
I love that though. I love that interpretation of it. Yeah,
I'm glad you said that because I found going through this album again and listening very closely. This is an album I know so well, but actually sitting here and thinking about it, I've noticed that this is to Vinny's songwriting credit. They're just vague enough that you can fit it into any of these categories. Like I could definitely see the romance version of this. Like, I'm gonna be better.
But hard work seems to get me nowhere. Making my own day. So it's like cheating looking at lyrics here.
Well, and no, I totally cheat. I'm cheating all the time with these things. No, but I think the romantic, the romance side of it, relationship side of it works because there is a theme of like, look, man, these are 20-year-old kids writing these songs, right? 20, 21, 22-year-old kids writing these songs. And I know bad relationships pretty well at that point in my life too. So like I could definitely relate with that. I love that you brought that in. That's such a great way of looking at it.
Well, you know what? Maybe we should let the audience decide while they listen to This Time Next Year.
I think that's a great idea.
And we are back. Love that song. This Time Next Year. The positive messaging.
That is, whenever I see them or whenever I saw them when I was younger, that was always one of the songs. Like I knew they were gonna play it because it's a big song. It's the name of the album. They're always gonna play it. But it was one of the songs I always look forward to hearing because I was ready to bounce, and that's a bounce kind of song.
Absolutely.
When you said ready to bounce, I thought you meant like you were ready to leave after they played
No,
it. No,
I meant like up and jump up and down
Gotcha.
and like knock around with everybody else. No, I wasn't. No, I can see that. See, open for interpretation. I'm gonna be out now.
Well, good news, Phil, because if you like to bounce once in a row, the next song.
Let's go. I am ready. Let's go.
You got your call and response. You just got, this is the kind of song where you feel like you're throwing yourselves up against each other, up against the stage. There's no barrier. You're all there, and you're like, "Hey, we gotta stay strong. Let's go. Let's go." It comes in so fast and hard.
I think it's a positive song in the end.
Well, I actually don't know why I think this. And I'm going to ask Norby and you, maybe you can remind me of this.
Yeah.
Isn't this the straight edge song? This is about being straight edge and sticking to your values without being a preachy straight edge song, because it never once says it.
Right.
But I don't know why that's in my head. I feel like maybe Vinny said that at a show many years ago, and that it got stuck in there. But then I always hear this song. It's like, plenty of time to ruin my life, so why start now? Why start now? To me, is like a response to like, oh, I'm not going to do drugs and alcohol because I'm straight edge. It's like the unspoken part of it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm looking at that now where it got me nowhere. My brother just stared. Like, is that just, like, I mean, I was straight edge for a while as I'm sitting here sipping my beer on the show. But my brother, like, he, never really understood that scene or the mood, like me going to these shows, and he's, he's like a big Pearl Jam fanatic, and if they go to a show, got to go drink and hang out, and maybe his brother was just looking at him like, why are you doing this? Like, why aren't you going to a show and like drinking and hanging out and getting wasted with your friends? You're just, wasting your life, not living or having fun as a, being that person.
See, looking at lyrics and having that lens, I can see it. My interpretation of the song is, I think the secret is in the title. Once again, Jeff, I think the secret's in the title. Once in a row, I let things go. I think ultimately this is a song about, for me, again, I think is why I relate to it as a guy who's dealt with this, is you let little shitty things that have happened to you fester.
Yep.
And they get worse and worse and worse and worse. 10, he even says it 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, whatever it was. Like that, you let things in that are negative, that are going to kind of ruin your life, right? Things that honestly don't matter, but they matter in your head at the moment, and you keep letting them in, and it just puts you in a more and more negative space. And so by doing so, that's why I said, like, once in a row, so every now and again, I would let it go. I'll let go, whatever it is. But otherwise, I have to fight every battle. And that was very much me as a younger person. It's still, to a degree, me. I still like having to fight every battle. It's very tiring to fight every battle. I finally have learned to kind of not fight every one of them, but I fight more than I ought to. But for me, the brother is like, look, I always imagine like an older brother who's like, I have been through this shit, and I'm telling you now so that you may not go through it. Much like Vinny's telling us now, like, hey man, I've been there. Let it go. Don't let it sit there, and it's just gonna rot inside your head, your heart, and you'll become a worse person for it. Now, take whatever that negativity is and make that alcohol or drugs and all that. And I can see this being a very easy straight edge song, which is fine. If it's a straight edge song, totally cool. I listen to Minor Threat. I'm not a straight edge guy, but doesn't mean I have any animosity or any negativity toward it. I actually appreciate the concept of it, of not letting toxins in. I just choose different toxins to not let in, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. But I think, again, this is going, absolutely well said. I think this is going back to kind of what I said in the last song, where, again, there's a certain amount of vagueness, just enough, because it feels specific. It feels like he's really talking about like something specific. Like it feels like a moment he's like really describing to us that he had this situation where the brother's staring at him. He's dealing with all these things. But it could be a straight edge song. It could be a song about not letting the negativity get you down. Whatever it is, it's all there for your interpretation. So everybody can walk away with this song with a different feeling to it. And I think that is what makes it a timeless song.
And that we'd have some type of release that it doesn't matter. We all have a different version of it, whatever it could be, and that doesn't matter. But it's a song about we have a chance to come together. Again, I love community over competition. Much like Vinny, I had a tendency to I guess self-destruct. I guess that's really where now that you say that,
I was waiting for the segue.
Yeah, I'm like, but now that you said the straight edge thing, and the next song is self-destruct, I'm like sequencing. Is there a connect? Now I'm wondering if there's a connection between the two.
Well, it's funny. I do think we'll get into it. I think "Deal With It," the song after self-destruct, connects to self-destruct. I noticed that as well. So we're starting to feel like, yeah, there's
a little sequence there.
Yeah.
You're right. You're okay. All right. Let's go down this rabbit hole. I kind of like it. Let's see what we got.
all right. Self-Destruct is our next song. What do you think the song's about?
Norby, you want to start? Or you want me to start?
You start, Phil. I feel like you lead off better, and the audience will draw more to you.
I think it's a song about knowing who you are, an honest look at who you are, but not letting people get too close because then you'll self-destruct, right? That's what I think. I also think there's a song about a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
Because he says, I can't pretend that I don't see the end, or I don't, I don't like that. So it's a self-awareness again that I can relate to, being a young angry man in my early 20s. That I don't know, it's almost like if he got too close to something kind of precious.
Yep.
He like had to get away. It's just because like you can't but why he had to get away, that I don't know. Maybe he like doesn't want to destroy what is precious, or maybe he can't allow himself to have something precious in his life. I don't know. But that's what ultimately I think about. I think it's about.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think there's like an intimacy issue with this narrator for sure.
Yep.
I feel like she's getting too close to me. It's time to self-destruct. Like this is someone I can see this being very clearly like about dating somebody and being this place where like you can't let people in because
you can't be
handle it. Can't be
Yeah.
vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, and he's basically kind of like narrator, was saying it's he, but could be a she, it doesn't matter. She's getting too close to me. It's time to self-destruct. I can't pretend that I don't see the end. They say that at the end over and over again. And it's like he or she is already looking at this relationship and knowing it's going to end badly. He or she knows this is going to self-destruct and it's going to ruin this. And I feel like that is the self-defeating prophecy that this person is telling themselves.
We've been there. Yeah. We've been down that path. I have. So.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage. At some point, be self-destructive and ruin something before you can be vulnerable to it.
Just be looking at this and going like, man, I'm gonna fuck this up. I know it. But then because you keep saying you know what's gonna happen, you make it happen. You'll do things to make it happen.
Yeah.
So far, I am seeing once in a row sequence nicely into self-destruct. Let's see if it sequences nicely into deal with it.
I think should we listen to the self-destruct just to kind of?
Do you want to break it up? Let's break. You know
Yeah.
what? Let's take a pause. Let's do that. Let's listen to Self-Destruct by the Movielife.
Yeah, and we'll keep this song in our head while we get ready to talk or deal with it. So once again, Self-Destruct by the Movielife, as Phil just said. And we're back, and now we are talking about Deal With It.
I don't wanna deal with it. I don't
wanna.
No, I do. Let's go deal with it. No, that's a good song. It's a good song. It's a really good song. I think it's on its face value, not getting into what I think now is a new story we're coming up with, where they just pretty neat. But on the face value, it's a breakup song.
Yes.
Like, leave me alone. Go away. Leave me alone. Like, forget. And I love you say, forget my number means don't call me. It's as though he has to spell it out, or he or she has to spell it out that much more to the person they're talking to. Like, I find that kind of insulting to the person. Like, no, when I say don't call, when I say forget my number or lose my number, no more contact. We're done talking to each other.
It reminds me of Wayne's World. Particularly, he's trying to break up with his ex-girlfriend over and over again, and she keeps showing up and giving him gifts like a gun rack. And he's like, what am I going to do with a gun rack? I don't even own a gun, let alone the many guns necessitate an entire rack. But he's basically had like, we broke up.
It's over. But the movie's over. Go home. Why are you still here? Go home.
Wait, if you don't start treating me better, you're going to lose me. I did lose you. Yeah, so that's the deal with it to me. That's part of the Wayne's World movie.
Yeah, and the title of this, deal with it, like deal with the fact that our relationship is over. I mean, this is over. Now, that it's very on the nose, like at face value. But I want to explore it in the context of the last two songs before that. So is it this point where we're like, deal with the fact you don't do drugs or alcohol now? What do you think?
Oh, that's interesting. I thought deal with it was more like the self-destruct part of it. And the last one was all in this person's head, his or her head. She's like, this is going to work out. And then all of a sudden is like, now lose my number. So it's coming off very confusing to the person they're breaking it off with. Like the previous song, Self-Destruct, is the monologue in the person's head about why they need to end this relationship, and deal with it is now activating that action. And this person they're breaking up with is like, wait, what? Where's this coming from?
But from the lens of like, let's look at the first line. I think the first line is kind of the giveaway. I'm going to go with this, explore this concept. I think it's kind of fun to do this. But the first line is lessons learned from all my mistakes. If the last song is about acknowledging those mistakes, the self-destructive nature of this, and the next song talks about learning from that, what I think it could be saying, deal with it, is to himself, is possibly deal with himself, like that you're now going to change. You're going to get rid of all these vices that
that's cool
are affecting you. And I think so it's like they've taken the concept of a breakup in a relationship, that I'm breaking up with the vices. I don't know. I'm going to explore that just for this podcast. I think that's actually kind of fun to do.
I love it.
What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
If I'm right, Vinny, let me know if I'm right. Hit me up.
If not,
lose my number means stop calling me. Were cell phones even around at this point? I mean, that was just a house phone, and you had to call and ask for.
I think there were cell phones, right? At this point,
I think there
were
cell
phones.
I mean, horribly. Beepers,
Yeah.
definitely, because I think I might have had one once or twice. Yeah, but I think cell phones with horrible contracts at this point.
This is we didn't have sidekicks or razors yet.
No,
but
no.
They were coming.
Why would they give like a 17-year-old kid a ridiculous contract? We're like, it was like $80 a month for 15 million years. Terrible contracts.
Money.
You know what's interesting though is like, I don't know Jeff's phone number. Phil, I don't know your phone number. I don't know phone numbers unless they're programmed now. I still remember phone numbers of people I dated in my 20s because you had to know them when you were going somewhere. I still remember people's numbers from New Jersey, somebody from Staten Island, Pennsylvania. Like I know these numbers. Like if I needed to call that person right now, I could call that number.
Well, should we do it? Should we call someone up right now and see what they're doing? No, I'm kidding.
It'd be pretty awkward.
Yeah. Hi. I'm on a podcast right now, and I just remembered your number, so I wanted to call you.
We dated like 22 years ago, and you told me to lose your number. So I've always had it.
Well,
but I do know what you mean though, because I actually was like, I actually think I was gonna remember like old phone numbers from, like, I still remember my own phone number. It was like a tennis match. But the way you would bounce around the numbers. But like I just was like, oh, do I remember old? Like I looked it up, and sure enough, number is the same. I'm like, still remember that. All right then, that's not creepy.
Well, speaking of creepy,
absolutely. Let's talk about creepy.
Single White Female is the next song. This is the one we alluded to way back at the beginning of this podcast, because this one is the one that refers to the Smithtown Mall. I love this song. I don't know any other song that is so petty and so angry about somebody's friend. You know what I mean? Like
it is so petty. I love it. I love it.
It's so petty. And basically this song is the narrator is telling their significant other to get their fucking friend away from them. They hate this person. And that's what the song's about. And I love that it's a whole song about this.
Because the chorus is the pettiest thing of all. It's like, you can't compete with me. I got you beat. Like, she is mine, or he or she is mine, not yours. It is such a petty song, but who hasn't thought that way at some point where you're like, I wish my boyfriend or girlfriend spent more time with me. If that fucking friend wasn't around, Maybe they would, and it's a petty thought, 100%. But this is come on, man, we're human beings. We have petty thoughts all the time. This is a
But
petty song.
no, but Vinny is also like eviscerating this person.
Right, yeah.
You know, she has this. Leave your fucking friend to the Smithtown Mall where she belongs, because she now has the same tattoo as you. So he's like, oh wait, she got that tattoo same as you. Don't you see what's crazy about this right now? This is weird.
Right.
And then he's like, and she's learning all your songs. So she's like literally trying to be just like her, and taking her time away from the narrator, right?
I gotta admit though, I never did enjoy the jab at the Smithtown Mall. So I'm like, motherfucker, I worked there. I worked in the comic book store. Come on, I thought that was cool.
Why did we not mention Time Out, the arcade, before? We forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
I still have tokens for Time Out. Anyway,
do you really? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But I, as a musician, like whatever, Vinny or any singer, how difficult is it for you to see somebody you're singing these lyrics about if they are like you see them in the crowd, or any other heartbreak song, and like you're Vinny or other vocalists, and you're like screaming your lungs out, then like you just glance and you see musicians, they look at they do that sometimes. What if they do that and all of a sudden they see like, this is the most horrific song I've ever written and it's about you, and there you are.
I think I'd be petty enough to enjoy that, because I think I'd have to refrain from staring at them the entire time though.
Well, I also wonder, so he wrote this song, and I didn't normally like to say there's a narrator and stuff, but for whatever reason, this song feels very
personal.
Very personal, very autobiographical. So just for the sake of this conversation, we're going to say that there was a friend of an ex, a friend of a girlfriend. And at what point does he share this song with the girlfriend? Be like, hey, I wrote this song about your friend. It's like, I don't want to see her when I'm on that fucking stage, so keep her away. Like it's very clear what he's telling his girlfriend of how he feels about this friend. Or does he reveal this in a live show with the friend hearing the song and having to like have that moment to be like, is this about me?
That sounds great.
That's
like what's that? I don't know the term. Catfish. Like you lure her to the show.
You want her to hear it,
yeah.
Just to play it. Mm-hmm.
I wrote a song about you, Susan. You're gonna love it.
That would, that's petty enough that I might have done it at that point. Sure, why not? And also just to name the song, "Single White Female." I mean, that's petty because it will connect right back to a movie about a psychotic roommate. I think it is. I think she's a roommate.
Wait, so that was a movie, Single White Female. There was also The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I think there was like similar.
They were like right around the same time frame. Yeah.
Similar idea.
Who was Single White Female? Was that who was the actress in that?
Oh, no,
it wasn't Demi Moore, right? Was it?
No. Oh no, that's The Intrude. Oh man, that is a different movie. I can't spell single to save my life. Single White Females, movie 1992. That's how old this is. That's got Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Oh, okay. Okay, now Jennifer Jason Leigh,
Bridget Fonda and Steven Weber. That's pretty crazy how that is. No, the one with Demi Moore it's her husband who's like the psychotic guy, right? No one believed her. It's like domestic abuse. Oh man. And she fakes her death or something. Like, spoiler alert for everybody who didn't see this movie from the early 90s.
Wow, Phil. Angry letters, you know where to send them.
Angry letters, you send them right to me. I'm not gonna find that. I'll keep trying to find that movie.
Do you guys remember with Smith Haven Mall? Hello, like you wanted your parents to pick you up in like the cool side, or drop you off in like the cool side, but then pick you up where like your friends wouldn't see you get picked up by your parents. It's like,
right, you got
drop me off by the food court, but
the food court's a drop off. Yeah.
See, I would say drop me off by the movie theater, because then you go in the movie theater side door, and they wouldn't see you sneak in. That's good. Then you would end up over by the movie theater in Penny's was right there.
I forgot there was a movie theater there.
There was, yeah.
I saw Volcano there with my mom.
I saw Home Alone there, actually, now thinking about that. When Home Alone came out, that's Probably the only movie I've ever seen at that mall. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking. But yeah, so Single White Female. What a crazy song.
This song rules.
And video. It really does. It rules. I love every amount of how petty it is. I'm here for it. Did you want to play this one?
Before we do,
yeah.
This is maybe it's a story about an experience I had at a Movielife show, and now thinking it is kind of about a crazy white female, not in reference to This Is Stu, but somebody I don't even remember their name or context. So, but crazy white female comes to mind, and I want to say this before my wife gets back from walking the dog.
You do know this is gonna be on a podcast.
It's gonna be on a podcast eventually.
Okay.
But she literally just walked in. So, all right.
No story now.
Anyway, so we're talking about that.
Single white female, not crazy.
Single white female.
Yeah. We don't use a crazy word. That's not.
But anyway, I was at a Movielife show, and VOD was actually playing the same show. I think these were back in the demo days when they were selling the red and white tapes.
Vision of Disorder?
VOD, yes. And I actually had smoked cigarettes very briefly at that time in my life. Don't know why. And this is when you couldn't smoke at shows, and you'd have to like sneak in the bathroom where they would say go outside. But for some reason, the show was like no re-entry. Like, don't eat if you leave, you're done. It was sold out. It was someplace like in Hicksville, I want to say, or Levittown. I don't even remember. But I was like, I got to go make a phone call. There's no phones in here. There's like a payphone over there. So the guy let me leave, and just going out there, and then just a few people in the car like, oh hey, like, do you have an extra cigarette? So I started hanging out with them, and one girl was like, I have to go to the bathroom, and she couldn't get inside. So she just went on some random car in the parking lot. Just
on a car.
On a car.
On a car.
On a car.
Not
little behold that moments later, a member of a certain headlining band walks out and catches the end of this, and it's his car. Who does he see like hanging out with them is I'm the only guy with like three of the girls, and so he's getting ready to come after me for this and take out whatever this girl is doing to his car. And turns out this girl was like an ex of one of the friends of that guy, and he had done something or whatever. So that was the PG version of that story, we could say. But I still remember that Movielife show because I believe that's where I got the white demo tape.
Wow.
I don't. The movie we were trying to think of, it's called Sleeping with the Enemy, and it's not Demi Moore. Okay. It's Julia Roberts.
Oh, okay.
Well,
it's not a car, man. That's where we're at.
Yeah, no, it was. And looking back now, I think that they picked that car for a reason because they knew whose car it was. They just don't think they were expecting somebody who owned the car to walk out, and then I found out it was, on purpose and intentional.
Well, it's funny. I thought it was petty that someone write a song about the friend of their significant other who they can't stand. But I think it's even more petty
and you do
to
that.
pee on someone's car.
That is pretty petty to. Hey, why don't we play Single White Female? Let's just ride this vibe all the way through.
No, we gotta play it. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but hearing Spittown Mall in a song, I was like, wow, the Spittown Mall is the most famous mall in the world because it's in this Movielife song. Anyway, here is Single White Female by the Movielife. Here we go. And we're back. Phil, how do you feel about Promises?
I like them. Yeah, I like them particularly when they're done with a pinky swear. That's my favorite part.
Oh, pinky swear. That's a contract. You can't break that.
You cannot break that. No, you can't break that. The child in me says you cannot break that.
Well, Pinky Swear is the title of the next track.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. It opens up like it's a love song. It opens with a hardcore opening though, and it gets into this like, love song. It's like someone who's far away. You're in my heart 3,000 miles away. right from the start. You're a challenge to me. Just like really going through like the struggle to do this, but like it's worth it, right?
It's worth it. He will be on that train.
Yeah.
And you better be on the receiving end of that. That's a bad analogy. I don't like that analogy. He's gonna be on the train, and then you need to, I don't know, be there waiting for them. Let's go with that instead.
Yeah, he's willing. He or she is willing to jump on the train, so you better feel the same way. Like you would jump on the train to come see me.
Mhm.
Right. 3,000 miles. That's a distance.
Yeah.
Is that the
Jamestown
distance?
isn't that far.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking for future references to
I like
albums that are not out yet. But I'm thinking Jamestown, New York. So
feels like 3,000 miles. Jeff, how far away is LA from
About 3,000 miles.
About 3 miles. All right, so I was gonna say it's about, so you cross the country. That's a
Yeah.
distance. That's a distance. That's commitment and investment to be on a train. Imagine how long that train must take to get across the country.
Couple days.
Couple of days, right? That's effort. I think that's the point, and that's the point of the song. The effort. Put the effort in.
Putting the effort in, yeah. I also think it's, it's hard for me to not listen to these songs and try to like imagine that they are autobiographical, and then hearing about someone who's in a band, and like I wonder, were they on tour? Did they meet somebody while they were on tour, and like they had a connection with them, and like that's where this is coming from. It's something I always think about if this is true, and like it makes sense that you would be traveling and you might fall in love with somebody on the road.
It's
reminds me of 2000 light years away of Green Day.
I love that song. That song.
Similar vibe.
What's the next song?
The next song is How Can You Even Face Me?
How can you face me? I don't know. How can you do it? What do you think of this song?
I mean, coming back to the theme of this album, this is a song about being disrespected. I think of this as a song that's about someone in a band in the scene, like someone, like you're in a band in the scene, and someone that like you look up to thinks you're a poser, doesn't think you belong here. There's a couple of moments here where it just feels like, they even say things like, you don't know me. You wouldn't know that I feel this in my heart. Like, it seems like they are trying to stand up for themselves and who they are. And someone who's like, disrespecting them.
Do you think this is the counterpoint to 10 Seconds Too Late?
It certainly could be. There's definitely a connection there, right? Like, is this the person who was given the hard truth now coming back at them?
Right? Or
the rebuttal song?
The rebuttal song? I mean, it could be. I just had that thought now. I'm not like some.
Well, I think thematically thematically the connection's still there.
It's a very emo title.
Yes, that's
a very emo. Before emo titles were a thing. Thank you, Fall Out Boy, for making great emo titles. But before they were a thing, I think this is the most emo of them all. I mean, how can you even? I think it's the word "even" that gets me. It's not even just like, how can you face me? How can you even face me?
Well, it's also a question.
The prequel to Face Off with Nicolas Cage.
His face.
How can you even face me?
Now I want to make a fan cut of that movie to this song.
Well, we'll be waiting for it, Phil. Get to work.
I will get to work. It'll be right after. I don't have a good joke for that, so I'm going to leave that alone.
But again, we have a call response, hardcore screams in this one. Do we know who the guest vocalist is on this one? I wasn't able to find it online.
Isn't it Daryl?
I feel like it's always Daryl. No?
It's not Daryl. Daryl, we're getting to a song coming up. He often would sing with them.
Yeah.
But I think this is somebody else. I'm not sure. I also don't think we ever talked about the producer of this album, Brian McTiernan.
We did not talk about Brian McTiernan. No.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this one was kind of like, this is like the most screamo of the songs on here, because like the call and response is very much a hardcore scream, right? Responding.
Well, you don't know me, like the back. That's what you're talking about, the backup vocals there, like that extra aggression in that song. Like,
you're right. We didn't talk about Brian McTiernan. That's a really good point.
I just realized that now. We're talking about hardcore. Anyway, he produced this album,
He
Revelation
did.
Records.
Yep. He's the lead singer of one of my current favorite bands in Be Well.
Yeah.
I had my Be Well shirt on before.
Did you really? Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually yeah, my the Revelation Records repress them. I have the green star logo, but he's the singer Be Well from is it American Nightmare? That without Be Well, he's from
Battery.
Battery, but there's something else. He was a band between that. I gotta look this up.
Oh, I can look it up. Ashes. That's what it's telling me, at least on the Wikipedia.
Bane. He's a member from Bane.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Because Bane just did their whole reunion thing in Boston, and I really wanted to go to that. That was like 3 weeks ago. But I know he was in Bane. I remember.
Where's the Movielife on tour with Bane when they had their big bus accident on this album cycle tour?
I remember the Movielife Midtown benefit shows.
Yeah.
That's what they were. Because I do have that show actually on my YouTube. It was at the Wayne Firehouse in New Jersey, and Saves the Day headlined. But it was a Movielife benefit show with Midtown. And I believe I don't want to. I gotta look up. It wasn't Jersey. There's a band Jersey from Canada, and there's a band Jersey from New Jersey. It was some other drive-through band that also played that show. But anyway, I had
the benefit show or the tour. The tour.
The benefit show was because of that accident on the tour.
Right,
and they stopped that tour. Yeah,
and the accident was in Jamestown, North Dakota, which is 40-hour train back to Penn.
Oh,
which is where that
Jamestown, New York.
No, it was Jamestown, I feel one of the Dakotas.
That's the 40 hours right there.
Yeah. So that becomes like a big part of the next LP.
I should know that.
Anyway, it's all this history gets all mixed up in there. But yeah. But being hardcore, coming from the hardcore roots, that's why you need to have a unity song, and me and you versus them. The title alone is telling you.
Title alone is great, just by itself. By itself.
This show was Saves the Day, Midtown, Catch 22, Hot Rod Circuit, and the Movielife.
Oh wow!
It was Catch 22 was the band I was trying to remember.
Ah, okay.
Wow, that's before they became Streetlight.
Streetlight, yeah.
Yeah, Manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fantastic ska punk band.
Yes, yes it is.
Well, so was Catch 22, but Streetlight, they really leaned into it, and it if we're gonna do it, we're gonna go all in, and that's what that album is.
I did just see something that because I follow Hot Rod Circuit, they posted something about Stay Tuned.
Yeah, I saw that.
So they might be doing something relatively soon and happening on that.
Either a tour or a new album or something. Yeah. That's fine. Everyone should come back and do tours and albums.
That's another band too. I think Movielife, we were talking about how they could have been bigger. Yeah. And I think that could have also been Hot Rod Circuit as well. They're from New Haven, Connecticut, I think.
Yeah. Or they were also one of those
New Haven
they were definitely from Connecticut for sure.
Stanford or Bridgeport, one of them.
I feel like I never went to a Hot Rod Circuit show, but I saw them hundreds of times. They were always on every show. Every show would have Hot Rod Circuit on their show.
I just remember one of their lyrics when they said all around the Long Island Sound. I'm like, Long Island, that's where we're from.
Long Island, that's where I'm from. My nostalgia comes out whenever someone brings up Long Island Sound. It always makes me laugh.
Well, the Movielife had the true Long Island Sound.
They did, but I like Me and You versus Them. I love the title. Love the title. Love the title. It's very, again, I've said it 4 times on this one episode. Community, not competition. But Jeff, earlier we talked about in Once in a Row or Self-Destruct. I think it was Self-Destruct, that he couldn't be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think this is a song where the narrator is actually vulnerable. And it comes out in the one line where it says, and for a second, just let me let you see. And I think that's allowing for them to be vulnerable for the moment and to say, like, like I'm in. We've already talked about the train. I've been on a 3,000-mile train in Piggy Swear. And now, like, it's me and you versus them. And it's oddly enough, this is the kind of the thought I have whenever I think about my own wife. It's me and her against everybody. And that's all this song is about, I think.
Yeah. I think it's someone it's just someone you have someone's back and they have your back. Like but I think it's a very core scene kind of feeling though, right? Like
right.
Whether it's friends, whether it's a couple, whether it's siblings, like you know what I mean? Like this is a song that fits all those things.
Right. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter because I love it. Just don't sweat it because it's me and you versus them.
Yeah. Great.
Do you want to play this one?
Yeah, I think we should.
It's fast as fuck. I love that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
The people at home need something fast as fuck.
Right now.
Here is me and you versus them. Go. Well, me and you versus them is about friendship. So naturally, the next song should be called Another Friend.
Naturally.
But you know what? Is this a positive or negative? Yeah.
No. That's a great question. Norrby, do you want to start off?
I feel like this song is about a lot of just those sort of quick relationships of where you just go well for like 2 weeks and then all of a sudden we should just be friends, and can't even say how many times that happened, during, the high school, college era, I guess we could say, where, we're too young to know that like this isn't going to work out, but we'll just be friends. And, you're another person that is just going to move on away from me because I'm not good enough for you.
Well, it's kind of like a line in the sand song, right? Like this is like the point where like if we look at it in a relationship sense, it seems like this narrator is in a situationship with somebody, and they're at that point where they want something more, right? They want to, I need to know where I stand because I don't need another friend, and like this is someone who's looking for something more. It's funny. I think when I was younger, I thought of it as a relationship situation. But now listening to this again, I'm like, again, because it's vague, it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic partner, right? Like I was thinking this could be someone you're like in a business with, or someone you're trying to start a band with, or someone you're trying to do something else with. And like, I'm not here for friendship. I'm here to do something and make something. So I think, again, going back to what I love about this album, coming back to it, is the slight vagueness of it. You could fit it into many different situations.
Because I on the surface, it seems very romantically based, but I think this is a song about the scene in general. That like, look, man, I don't need another fucking friend. I need someone that's going to help propel us to the next level, whatever that level is. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, if it's the producer or just has the right agent or it's just, I need someone that's going to help us build this train to move faster or move along instead of just I don't need another friend, man. I got those. I mean, I've always loved that concept of it. Like, I don't need another friend, man. I just need someone who's actually going to help us, because a friend, they're great. They're there. But like, I think he's asking for more relationship wise. Yeah. Like, let's take this to the next level. Let's go to the next level with it. But I think I feel like it's got to be a jab. That's not even a word, Phil, but a jab at the scene itself.
No, that totally makes sense to me because I see that very much so. Like this idea of like a narrator saying, all I ever see is 1 or 2 feet in front of me. Right. Like they need help, right? They need someone need something from this person to get them to the next place. I always see centimeters in front of me, and no matter how far I get, I always got one problem left. Like they are in need, not of a friend, but somebody who's going to help them get over the next level. So I think
that's great. I love that. I love every second of that. I think that's great.
I also loved always seeing this song live. I just remember
it's a good sing-along song.
Well, yeah, and I think this is the one where if Daryl from Glassjaw
was in the neighborhood,
is there, he's singing the song with them. He comes.
I have that that's on one of my highlight reels as well.
So. Perfect.
Of course,
I need to rewatch that.
I dug up some old photos for this. I was not sure if there was sharing of pictures on here. I don't, I know that's Spotify and here, but I could share those with you guys in an email afterwards if you like some
Yeah, we
archaic photos.
if you don't mind, we can even throw them up on the Instagram.
We'll throw them on the gram for some
Yeah.
of the posts. Absolutely, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
How do you guys feel about hearing Another Friend? I feel like it's a jam. Also, I want to say like the opening bass line of this song rules. It kind of sounds like a bouncing soul song when it starts off, which is probably why I like it so much. It has that kind of like vibe to it. But
they've had to have played together, right?
Oh, definitely, definitely, yeah.
At some point,
but like I don't know, this to me is like this is a pop punk song, you know.
I love this song. I love every second of this song. Jeff, what song is this in relation to the album?
This is the penultimate song, Another Friend. Here it goes. All right, and we are back, and we are here at the final song of the album. It's called "It's Monday and Raining."
Such an emo name, man, for a song.
Yeah, if you weren't sure that Movielife would eventually be lumped into the emo crowd, this song is telling you they will. This is kind of the slowest song on the album by far.
Yep.
Dare I say the ballad, if there was a ballad.
Longest one too, if I'm right. I think it's the longest song.
Where would they play this, like during their set list? I'm trying to remember. Was it sort of like all right, we're going to start fast and kind of maybe, slow things down, and then they would go to this and then just come out with like just something chaotic?
See, what's funny, I've seen a lot of Movielife shows. I think I saw this song once. I don't think it's a song they play. Early at songs, least. Yeah. Early, it was not a song they played a lot. And I'm actually trying to figure out where in the set list it would have landed. And I feel like it's a middle song. Like, speed it up, slow it down for a hot second, and speed back up again. That's where I think this lands. I think. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah,
what do you remember?
I don't really remember this one live very much. It's funny because like if they did a slow song, they did Sailor Tattoos, that would be like, and that's like not on an album.
So I remember seeing this song. That's why they played Brooklyn Monarch December 2021, and I remember this is like this huge new venue in Brooklyn, and they played this show, and I can't remember the openers, but I'm looking at the set list right now, and it was actually the second to last song.
Oh, okay.
The end, huh?
Yeah, it was Hand Grenade, Ship to Shore, It's Monday and Raining, and then Jamestown. So I was wrong. I figured this would have been a middle song.
But it does fit. It does fit. Yeah. Oh yeah, it does fit well with Ship to Shore because that's the last song on 40 Hours, right? So
yeah,
that makes sense to put those two together.
It's interesting. I'm on like a set list right now, and set lists cannot find a earlier time in 2019 where the song was played by the movie.
See, I don't really remember this song, and it's funny how it's the last song on the album, man. I mean, every other song I've heard about a bajillion times, but this is the one where I'm like, I just don't remember it. If they played it, I whooshed over it. I don't know.
I mean, I like it. It's an interesting way to close this album out because it is somber. It is a little bit like, it's asking for help, right? I need you here more than you know. Like
it's longing for someone, whatever. Or maybe the thing, if we're gonna keep the theory of like maybe it's the one thing he needs right now, or they need to help him through the next tough time. I think it's a very bleak sounding. It's Monday. First off, nobody likes Monday. And secondly, it's a rainy Monday. That really sucks. Unless you're into rain, then it's like half okay. But I think that's the vibe it is. It's a dreary mood vibe. I
mean, feeling dead, the weight on my head is draining me. Like, yeah, this is a person going through a tough time, and they need help, and they're asking for it. They need this person or someone else to help come change things for them.
Maybe it's the end result from Another Friend. They realize it's just another friend, and now they're kind of sad about it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little bit of everything. Maybe like all this like calling people out and giving hard truths and breaking up with people before you get vulnerable. It's all catching up to them now, right?
Right.
But yeah, so that's the closer. That's the album.
That's the album.
It's a classic.
Album.
It's a classic.
We could have played the album like 4 times, probably.
4 times over by now. Yes, sir. I think you're right.
That's usually what happens. Again, getting researching it for this, I had listened to it in a little bit, and I found myself listening to it over and over and over again.
It's just like, it's so good. It's so good. I went to that show in Cambridge, I remember driving down from New Hampshire down to Boston. I played it. It stopped. I played it again because it takes that long to get to Boston. It was amazing. Love it.
So I'm still superstitious where I won't listen to the band the day I'm going to see them. And I was actually telling Jeff this when he was in town last week. I started listening to the podcast to catch up to learn the format, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, man, I'm meeting Jeff later on. Like, I can't be listening to the podcast while I'm going to be seeing Jeff, who's in the podcast. And then he literally texts me at the same time. And I'm like, all right, so I'm talking to him and I'm listening to him, and then I'm going to see him later. I'm like, I just broke like all these rules that like I would never go for back in the day. I can't go listen to Sound Majority. We're going to see them right now. Or if I'm driving to Jersey and I'm going to Bamboo Skate and Surf, I would not listen to any of those bands that road trip down because I was like just like a superstition.
Well, you best not go to When We Were Young Fest, because then you can't listen to anything.
I actually had the opposite. Like, I feel like I can't listen to the band right after seeing them. I need to keep the live experience in my head as long as possible. So if I went to see the Movielife, I would not listen to the Movielife for a couple days.
The only time I listened to the band after it is because I was disappointed with something.
Oh.
I saw a show with a good friend of ours, Billy. We went and saw Joe Strummer play in New York City, and I was expecting Clash songs. This is when he was with the Mescaleros, and he played like 2 Clash songs, and we were very disappointed. And we had so on the way home, we were with Billy and his dad, and we had to crank London Calling by the Clash because I was desperate to hear that song.
I will say, I was at a Say Anything show, and Emo Night LA was DJing after the show. That was kind of the deal, or in between the bands. And Say Anything played, and they didn't play Alive with the Glory of Love. Like, they didn't play it. And everyone's like, where is it? And then immediately they leave the stage, and Emo Night DJ started playing it right away to make up for the fact they didn't play it.
That's hilarious.
Which I love.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I'm sure you remember being at this venue in Amboy, Club Chrome.
Oh, I love
and
Club
it was
Chrome.
Like,
oh yeah.
So I mean, I can't count the amount of times I had seen Thursday play there back in the day. But I remember the Movielife were getting ready, like they were in between bands, and the PA system was actually playing the Movielife as the band was getting ready to go on stage. And then the band was just like, and the guy, doing the sound had no idea that was the band coming up on stage playing.
That's so funny.
That's funny. All right, Jeff, time for some questions. I'd like to know some things. So Jeff and Norrby, I will ask some questions now. I'll start with Jeff. Jeff, what do you think is the best song on the album? 12 from which to choose.
This is a tough one for me because no, it's not. Single White Female. I love this song so much. Is it because I mentioned my mall that I grew up with? I don't know. Is it because it's an angsty, petty song about hating your girlfriend's friend who's stealing her whole personality?
Well, if she takes everything, what's left for you? I understand it. No, I understand.
Exactly. No, I like it. It's that song. That song is an honest song.
That's for sure. I'll give you that. Norrby, what do you think is the best song on the album?
I think I'm going to go with the title, This Time Next Year. I know you were talking earlier, Phil, about like that song that just you want to jump and bounce to, get you going. This is my bounce. Mm-hmm. This is my.
Speaking of bouncing, I'm going to keep going. Norrby, I'm going to go one more song over. I'm going to say It's Once in a Row for me. I just think, though, when they're saying let's go, and you're like, yeah, let's go. I just feel like that's just, it's a song that gets me going. So I'm going to say once in a row. Jeff, what song are you skipping?
I'm probably going to skip Deal With It.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, I mean, because ultimately it is just a breakup song, and it kind of feels kind of like it's a little mean spirited, just like I don't know.
The phrase "deal with it" is very negative.
Yeah, it's just like I'm breaking up. You deal with it. It's like I don't know. I don't need that energy in my life.
It's the arrogance of it. No, I
Yeah.
can see that. Norby, what about you? What do you think? What do you think is what's the song you're gonna skip?
I don't really. It's funny, like just catching up, like the last few days listening to this album. Like I was not skipping over anything. Like I couldn't just find like one song. And I'm like, I don't need to hear it, but I don't know why. I know it's a popular song, but maybe Pinky Swear. Just I don't know, something with that doesn't really like. I'm like, halfway through the song, I'm like, right, go to my next one here. So
It's an outlier on the album, I think, for sure.
It is. It's an outlier on the album. I actually, it's funny doing this. I had one thing and scratched that, wrote another one, and then during the course of the show, I was like, nah, it's this first pick I had. I think it's Monday and Raining because I just don't think about it. I feel like the album ends for me after Another Friend, and I just was like, oh wait, there's one more, and I've always felt that way about this song. That it's just, for me, it's a process of elimination. What songs are better than this one? And I feel like all of them are better at this one. Meaning for me, it's the one that I'm gonna skip over. So I just end the album after Another Friend. That's what I do. Jeff, what do you think is a song that people sleep on?
Well, they shouldn't sleep on any of these songs, but
That's
you know what?
frustrating.
You know, 10 Seconds Too Late. I think that song, I mean, it's right in the beginning of the album. It's right after the explosion of I Hope You Die Soon. And it just goes into such a drive, and it's such a, I don't know, it really sets the stage for the whole record.
Norby, what about you? Oh,
I'm
sorry,
gonna.
Jeff. Keep going. Keep going.
And it's a banger live. So
It is a banger live. That's not even close to a lie. Norby, what are you gonna say?
I think I'm gonna go with Jeff on this one as well.
10 seconds. Yeah.
So.
Well, it's official. I knew eventually we'd get to a trifecta. It's trifecta. 10 seconds too late. It's just, it is such a banger of a song. It just is.
Well, since I think it's trifecta and we didn't play it earlier, let's do it. Let's play 10 Seconds Too Late.
Let it close out the show with 10 seconds too late. And then we'll come back and we'll finish off the show. That works. 10 seconds too late. Don't be late for this one, guys.
Here we go. And we're back. So we did it all, Phil. We did all the questions, we did all the things, but again, I need the audience to understand how important Norby has been in my life of bringing new bands and to my life. So I really would love to spend some time with Norby telling us what he's listening to now and what we should be checking out.
What should we be checking out, Brian? Ooh, I said Brian. It's terrible. What should we be checking out, Norby?
I've kind of gotten into this post-rock shoegaze era. I want to say over the last several, and I've been big on Nothing, which I think that Jeff might be familiar with. Or
yeah, they're sick. Yeah.
Great band from Connecticut that just each album for me gets better and better. Very long name. The World is a Beautiful Place, and I am no longer afraid to die. Their last album has like this 23-minute long song that I can listen to over and over again and not get tired of it. And it's just perfect in every way for me. I was, telling Jeff, and he went to see Drug Church finally, going to a different spectrum here of that hardcore era. Up and coming band that is playing soon too, Jeff, by you, is High Vis. They're from the UK. They're from HIGHVIS. They're from London actually, but they're very much in line with like just like that hardcore screaming, like crowd sing along, and it can be pretty brutal and violent, but everybody's having a great time. I saw them at a very sweaty St. Vitus show maybe 2 months ago, and their sweatshirt is probably one of my favorite like band comfy sweatshirts that I probably will like keep for the rest of my life. Then even a bit heavier than that is this new group called Better Lovers. It's the ex-singer from Every Time I Die.
Oh, cool.
And
okay.
So it's chaos. It's freaking incredible.
Great name.
They just had a EP that came out like a few days ago, I want to say. So definitely check them out if you want to listen to something a bit heavier. Going old school here, I've been on a Dinosaur Jr. kick. Not that that's anything new to listen to, but I mean, it's like when I see some of these older bands are getting back together and touring, I saw that they had something coming up, and I was like, Dinosaur Jr. Pavement just like really, just brought back some stuff with me. Viagra Boys, as weird as of a name that is. They're actually from not Oslo, but Stockholm, Sweden.
Okay.
Just like very dance indie sort of like sing along, like just very sweaty, very gross. Like I mean, maybe it's just because it's getting hot now with these shows. Like in the summertime, it's just kind of you have to buy a shirt when you leave the show to get home and feel better and not be drenched on the train. And did I mention? I think Phil, these guys are close to you. I actually went up to Belvedere to see them like several years ago. Caspian. Did I mention them?
No, but I know. But okay, I know the name. Okay.
They are by far one of like the best, post-rock instrumental, just loudest bands that I've seen. And actually, I got my wife into them, and we actually went up to like Belvedere and Salem and made a weekend out of it last time that they played. I'm actually going to see them next weekend twice. They're opening up for Death Eater at St. Vitus one night and then headlining the second night.
Cool.
I'm glad we're doing this show now because I'm getting really psyched and kind of breaking out my albums to listen to. And last for what I'm listening to today, and Jeff saw me wearing this shirt a few days ago. Me Without You is someone I'm going to end it off with, even though they broke up this fall or winter. That is probably like my top 10 right there that I can mention I'm listening to.
Pay attention to these bands because I'm not lying to you guys. Norby has the pulse. I don't know. He should be an
If you want to
baby.
listen to this was another Mount Rushmore close call. They're actually from Boston too. This band very short lived, I think 95 to like 97. Boxer, Boxer. They were the first band on Vagrant Records.
Oh, interesting.
Very like Lifetime sort of just like fast punk, very quick album, 12 songs. I feel like I could listen. That's a CD I have in the car that I cannot find anywhere online. So it's one of those keepers that's always with me.
Hold on a minute. Yeah. Well, you heard it here, folks. Those are all the bands to check out, and maybe we'll make a routine of this. And every once in a while, Norby will come on and be like, "Hey, here's some new picks for you."
Yeah, it's a new segment. Here's the Norby's picks. Yeah,
Norby's picks.
I think of that.
We gotta come up with a nice, clever, alliterative name for it. I'll have to work on that.
I don't know why. I just remember when Family Guy, when Peter was like a news anchor. And what grinds my gears? It really grinds my gears.
Oh man, the nonsensical stuff that Peter would know. But yet I was like, oh, I kind of hate that too. Peter, thanks for saying that. All right, let me get some spots in here. So one, remember, folks at home, we are available on obviously Spotify. We're also available on YouTube. You can check us out on Instagram. We just started doing threads. That's a new thing. I'm trying to get my feel for what that looks like. I don't know what that vibe is just yet, but I'm happy it's not Twitter. So I'm gonna go threads. I guess like I said, we're on Instagram, Millennial Diner Podcast, and each of them. Quick thank you to the executive producer, my wife Megan, who just puts up with me as I do this show. Norby, thank you for coming on the show, Norby.
Norby, where can people follow you in the socials?
So I have like a YouTube page and Instagram, but the YouTube is public, but the Instagram is private. So
sure. Let's go with it.
I could share. Do you want it on here, or you want me to send it over after? Because I have to look up my YouTube handle. I kind of don't.
We'll post it up on the.
We'll post it on the thing. Yeah.
It might be like Il Fossil for like back in my skate days. That might be my YouTube handle. Let me see what actually it is. I should know this.
I'm hoping that it is because Il Fossil is a.
It is. It actually. It is.
There you go. Inline.
For those
what's the second
L for? Inline locals.
Locals. 516. I couldn't remember. I remember inline, but in 516, but I could not remember locals. Okay.
And that was we were Smithtown was inline locals. Hotbog was the 516 crew, and we merged after years of friendship and skating. And I still have T-shirts and patches at home and screens from high school when we made T-shirts for that.
That's amazing. I love every second of it. Yeah, so
And,
check out Norby's Ilfas Ill YouTube page. I'll make sure to add a little link to it on our own YouTube thing, as well as I'll try to get it in the Instagram as well.
Oh, and Phil, don't forget
Yeah.
to tell the people if they want to do their own podcast on Spotify, their own music and talk podcast like we have here. Go ahead and do it. Spotify makes it very easy. Make your own podcast. Do you want to do just a podcast on Me Without You, the amazing band that Norby mentioned? Sure, go for it. I mean, we'll probably cover them eventually. So,
and they should invite Norby to it.
Definitely. But yeah, do your own podcast with Spotify.
Feel free to invite me, guys.
You're going to definitely be welcome back, because there's plenty of albums that I would love to hear you discuss more from this scene.
I don't have a good closeout for this.
Just deal with it, Phil.
Phil, I hope you don't die soon.